I never imagined I'd pretend to be a billionaire's wife, but my heart yearned for more. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. My mind raced, my hands trembled, and I could hear my heart pounding in my chest like a desperate drum. The phone call pierced through the silence of my tiny apartment, shattering the calm. "You have to come to the gala," Jenna urged, her voice breaking at the edges. I could picture her standing there, a swirl of glamorous silk, clutching her champagne glass like a lifeline, but I was just me. Hands dirty from work, clothes frayed at the seams. The stark contrast between our lives was suffocating. I didn't belong in her world, one filled with diamonds and whispers of money that floated through the air like thin smoke. Yet I felt a strange pull, an undeniable yearning to step into that dizzying realm of possibility, if only for a moment. Jenna had fallen into the orbit of the enigmatic billionaire Lucas Hawthorne. Everyone in their circle spoke of him in hushed tones. The man was as brilliant as he was elusive, rumored to be worth billions, with a heart that remained as guarded as his wealth. Yet there I was, clinging to what little hope I had, willing to pretend. What if I say yes? I tossed the question back to Jenna, my breath bated. "You can be my plus one. Just think about it, an extravagant gala. A chance to wear those borrowed heels, to dance under a chandelier dripping with crystals." Her excitement was infectious, but tiny voices in my head screamed that I was hovering too close to the flame, and it would burn. Yet my heart yearned for more. As the night approached, I stood in front of that mirror, my reflection almost unrecognizable. Soft curls framed my face, and the elegant dress hugged me in places I didn't know existed. The air felt thick with anticipation. I held my breath, heart racing, deep down knowing I was about to risk it all. What if they discovered the truth? What if Lucas saw through my act? The whispers of doubt curled around me like shadows, but I brushed them away. I'd step into this new life, even if it was just for one night. The gala was an orchestra of sounds and colors. Laughter spilled all around, mingling with the clink of silverware and the soft strains of a string quartet. I felt small, like a moth drawn to a flame. But amidst the glittering crowd, Lucas appeared, a tornado of electric energy and charisma. Deep-set eyes, framed by dark hair, ignited something deep within me. Then the unexpected happened. Our gazes locked, an electric connection crackled between us. I felt exposed, vulnerable, with all pretenses swirling like the champagne in my glass. I wanted to flee. I wanted to stay. My heart lunged in my chest, alive with panic and excitement. And just like that, the moment drew closer. He approached. My stomach flipped. Did he suspect? Did he see the truth hidden beneath my facade? "Who are you?" he asked, voice low, eyes searching mine as if peering into my soul. My heart stalled. What could I say? "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." The moment lingered like a suspended note in an unfinished symphony, Lucas's gaze holding me captive, sparking flames of both fear and desire. I could feel the color drain from my face as I fought the urge to stammer out a fabricated name, to weave a story that could comfortably cloak the truth I was desperate to hide. Instead, I stood there, the silence between us thickening, stretching into an unbearable eternity. "Penny," I finally managed, the name slipping past my lips like a soft whisper, fragile and uncertain. "Penny Dupree." Lucas's brow furrowed as if trying to place my unfamiliarity. "Penny," he repeated, and the way he said it sent a strange shiver through me. "What brings you here tonight?" 1,000 possibilities flashed through my mind in a split second, each one more absurd and concealable than the last. "I'm a friend of Jenna's," I said, the weight of my disclosure heavy. "She invited me as her plus one." His expression softened, intrigue woven into those dark eyes. "And how do you know her?" "From work," I replied quickly, my mind racing. "She's been supportive." Well, I'm working my way in." He studied me with an intensity that made my heart race, alternately thrilling and terrifying. "What do you do?" The question felt like a trap snapping shut around me. I swallowed hard. I work at a local cafe, I confessed, my voice barely a whisper against the clamor of the gala. I watched as the edges of his gaze narrowed slightly, a flicker of disappointment tracing his features. Are you an artist? He asked, attempting to dig deeper. Your eyes tell a story. I felt warmth flush through me at the compliment but resisted the urge to let a smile bloom too widely. I dabble here and there, I said, unsure of how to tread this fine line between genuine interest and conspicuous deception. He offered me a half-smile, one that felt rich with the promise of understanding, yet layered with shadows I had yet to uncover. We stood there for a moment, suspended in a bubble cut away from the glittering chaos surrounding us. It felt as though we were the only two inhabitants of this lavish kingdom, one where secrets mingled with chances, waiting to erupt into a wildfire of emotion. Before I knew it, a voice cut through our moment. Jenna, her eyes wide with excitement, gliding toward us with purpose. Lucas, there you are. I've been looking for you. She flitted between us like a butterfly, oblivious to the current that had sparked between her billionaire beau and her unlikely friend. I was just telling Penny about the artwork we have on display, Jenna continued, eloquently linking our worlds without a second thought. Art? Lucas' eyes shifted back to me, curiosity igniting anew. Yes, several local pieces, I replied, scrambling to keep up with the suddenly gossamer web of connection being woven between us. The cafe hosts monthly exhibits from artists in the community. It's a great way to support talent. Interesting, he murmured, but I could see the way his intrigue had shifted to something more measured. I sensed a wall forming between us, a result of the new web that had trapped me in its deceit. Jenna went on, detailing the artists and their backstories, but all I could focus on was Lucas's growing distance, the warmth of his initial interest fading. As the evening progressed, the laughter and chatter around me became a mere soundtrack, my anxiety a thrumming pulse beneath the surface of every word exchanged between shimmering flutes of champagne and opulent foods. And just as I began to sink deeper into isolation, I caught sight of a familiar face in the crowd, a shadow from my reality that made my heart drop. Alex, my brother. The weight of our fragile connection hit me like a wave, the tension in the air thickening as I braced myself for his inevitable approach. I hadn't seen him in weeks, ever since we'd last fought over the phone. Had been struggling in a way that cast my petty problems into stark relief, and seeing him now felt like the world tilting off its axis. He looked out of place amid the glamour, his worn jacket stark against the silk and satin that surrounded him. Penny, he called, a hint of desperation in his voice cutting through the revelry. My breath caught in my throat when his eyes landed on me, uncertainty churning within those familiar depths. We need to talk. My heart plummeted. What could he possibly want right now? The world spun around me, the gala lights blurring as I stood there, weighing the gravity of my brother's words against the impending collision of my two lives. Excuse me, I murmured to Lucas and Jenna, their expressions a mix of concern and curiosity as I stepped away, knowing I was teetering on the edge of an explosive revelation that could unravel everything. Alex moved closer. My mind raced with the implications of his visit. I could feel my secret teetering, ready to fall, and I had no idea if it would crush me or set me free. The weight of Alex's presence bore down on me, the laughter and vibrant chatter of the gala fading into the background like a distant echo. His brow was furrowed, shadows beneath his eyes betraying sleepless nights and burdens I had chosen to overlook. Despite the glamour surrounding us, this moment felt stripped bare of any pretense, raw like an exposed wound. Penny, we can't do this right now, he said, his voice low and urgent, tugging at the carefully maintained facade I'd been balancing all evening. You're in over your head. I glanced around, horrified. Here, I whispered, feeling like we were on the brink of a cliff, the ground crumbling beneath my feet. Not here. I don't care, he snapped, and it felt like the air turned cold. You're not being honest with anyone, not even yourself. You're pretending to be someone you're not. This is a mistake. Jenna and Lucas looked at us, confusion flickering across their faces. My stomach turned as I recognized the truth. This was not just a mistake. It was my entire life unraveling before me. Open mouths, curious eyes. I felt the scrutiny of the room pressing down on me. Heavy and unrelenting, his eyes softened, frustration replaced with something tender yet pained. Penny, please. This isn't the life we talked about. You don't belong here. You don't know anything about what I want, I shot back, and it startled me how defensive I became, the urge to protect my fleeting fantasy sharply coming to the fore. This world, the glimpses of life beyond the café waltz, a warmth that simmered just below the surface. But I do, he insisted, reaching for my arm with a gentleness that belied the tension between us. I know you're struggling to find your place. I know you're scared. But don't hitch your wagon to something that isn't real. My heart raced, a mix of anger and fear colliding within me. The honesty churned. It took every fiber in me to hold back a storm of emotions. And what would you prefer? That I stay the same? Working the same shifts? Living in the same cramped apartment? His gaze turned sharp, the words piercing deeper. If that means being true to yourself, then yes. It's better than this. From across the room, I caught Lucas watching us, his casual interest morphing into something more intense, a storm brewing behind those dark eyes. Something shifted in him, the easy charm fading as he turned his full attention to the scene unfolding before him. Curiosity piqued. Penny? Jenna's voice cut in, a gentle touch of confusion laced with concern. Is everything okay? Just a family thing, I responded too quickly, directing my focus back to Alex, desperate to maintain some shred of dignity. I appreciate your concern, really. But I need to do this. Alex shook his head, frustration etched on his face. You need to ask yourself why. Living into this lie won't fix what's broken. Penny. In that moment, the truth of his words hit me as hard as a slap, sending my breath hitching in my throat. The challenge of maintaining this illusion weighed heavily. The tension escalated as a short silence settled over us, thick and taunting like a dense fog suffocating clarity. And then from somewhere beyond my fraught thoughts, a glimmer of unexpected warmth ignited. Penny. Jenna interrupted just as Lucas took a step back, eyes darting between us as if gauging the fallout. You really should see this, she said with a sudden brightness that coaxed his attention away. I glanced toward her, wanting to escape this tumultuous conversation, but Alex gripped my arm tighter. Please think about it, he urged, desperation creeping into his voice. They don't know who you really are. I don't know who I really am. The words burst forth before I could stop them, a pent-up emotion finally spilling into the light. My heart raced as I realized I was questioning not just this evening but the choices that led me here, wrapped in deception and uncertainty. Lucas's eyes narrowed, dark brows knitting with intensity. Our worlds, so drastically different, hung in the balance. Penny, he said softly, yet firmly, breaking through the thick tension. What is it that you want? If you can tell me that, it'll help you untangle it all of it. The sincerity in his voice gently dissipated some of my fears, but I wasn't sure what I could reveal. The ache of secrets felt insurmountable, and I could hardly breathe as the walls shifted and morphed around us. The mood shifted again, Jenna's insistent pull bringing me back to the surface. Come on, you'll want to see this, trust me. Reluctantly, I looked to Alex, his face stricken with a mix of concern and pleading. Should I listen to him and escape this charade, or take a leap into the unknown that Lucas had offered? Penny. Jenna's call was insistent, and without another glance back, I felt the pulse of the gala sweep me away, tangled in a web of possibility, fear, and newfound hope. But as I turned, Alex's voice echoed back. You can't hide from the truth forever. Just as I felt Lucas step closer, the glimmer of unexpected kindness in his gaze urging me onward, a chilling realization fell over me. In a world suffused with wonder and warmth, my brother's words loomed like a dark cloud. The truth was never far behind, and soon it would catch up with me. A pulse of excitement coursed through me as Jenna pulled me deeper into the throng of laughter and music, but behind that thrill lay an undercurrent of dread. The jubilant atmosphere felt almost mocking, drawing smiling faces and laughter from people I barely knew, while inside, I battled a storm of insecurity and unspoken fears. Look! Jenna exclaimed, her voice bright with enthusiasm, as she guided me toward a serene balcony that overlooked the city. The twinkling lights reflected in her eyes, making her look like a child unveiling a cherished treasure. Isn't it breathtaking? And it was. I leaned against the cool stone railing, the vibrant landscape of the city sprawling beneath me, a tapestry of hopes, dreams, and lives I would never know. But instead of awe, a familiar weight pressed down on my chest. It all felt so far away, unreachable. Wow, I murmured, though inside, I felt like an imposter who had stumbled into a play far beyond her talent. I had traded my name for a fantasy, and every cheerful laugh and toasting flute of champagne reminded me that I was less than the role I played. As Jenna chattered about the latest fashion trends and gossip swirling in our social stratosphere, I stole glances at Lucas. He lingered a few paces behind us, a quiet intenseness to his nature that stood in stark contrast to the vibrancy surrounding us. For a brief moment, our eyes met, and something unspoken passed between us, a lingering thread of connection amidst chaos. Still, the weight of my deception forged an insurmountable barrier. Penny? Lucas' voice broke through my reverie, the hesitance in his tone inviting yet cautious. Everything okay? I hesitated, mind racing to conjure the right mask to don. Yeah, just taking it all in. He looked skeptical, concern tipping the edges of his mouth downwards. You sure? It feels like there's a lot more you want to say. That I swallowed hard, wishing I could open up, yet feeling lost amid the shadows of my own life. He could never understand, I thought. The layers of my existence filled with worries and burdens, of loved ones locked in their own battles, felt insurmountable. I'm fine, I finally replied, but the lie echoed hollow even to my own ears. Okay, but if you need someone to talk to. You know I'm here, he replied, sincerity lacing his words. I offered him a sad smile, grateful yet terrified of the vulnerability he seemed willing to uncover. As the chorus of voices surged behind us, my heart ached for a reprieve, a chance to peel back the layers of my facade and reveal the person beneath. What would it be like to share my truth, my pains and insecurities? What would it be to be vulnerable? Yet, as Jenna began to drag me back into the frenetic pace of the evening, I caught sight of a shadow creeping through the crowd, dark hair glinting under the luminescent lights. Alex. My heart quickened at the sight of him, that sharp expression of concern seemingly carved into his features. He was watching me, silence steeping in the air between us, a rift that neither of us could cross. Would he ever understand why I had to be here? Why this masquerade was the only way I could escape the confines of my reality? The trust between us felt nuclear, fierce but fracturing, and consumed by guilt, I turned away, letting the chaos pull me back. The gala pressed on, laughter reverberating against the walls, but I felt far removed from the joy an outsider at my own party. Across the ballroom, Jenna squeezed my hand, pulling me toward a cluster of chatty women off to the side, their conversation blooming like wildflowers. A woman with shining jewelry and an effortless smile turned her attention to me. Penny, isn't it? You must tell us about your recent travels. I heard you went to Paris. A wave of panic surged through me, and trapped in the spiral of charming smiles and eager eyes, I felt the walls closing in once more. Oh, it was beautiful. A dream, I stammered, searching for details that seemed to fall out of reach. The lie-spinning threads I struggled to weave. As she continued, my mind wandered to the moments of honesty I had shared with Alex. The genuine laughter, the warmth of shared fears. I missed the simplicity of those times, stripped of artifice. What was more terrifying? Being exposed as a liar, or facing the truth that might come from unveiling who I truly was, behind the glitz and glamour? Desperate for a moment of clarity, I stepped away, seeking solace in the bathroom. As I leaned against the cool tiles, my heart raced at the mirror's reflection. Makeup pristine, hair perfectly styled, but eyes filled with uncertainty. The truth clawed at me, relentless and omnipresent. Why am I here? This is not me, I whispered to my reflection, begging for an answer, yet recoiling at the feelings that swirled within me. I felt lost, drowning in the churning waters of expectations and dreams I hadn't chosen, caught between two worlds that could not coexist. Suddenly, a familiar voice interrupted my thoughts. Penny, are you in there? It was Alex. Panic shot through me. How much had he seen? Just a minute, I called back, desperate to gather myself, heart thrumming with apprehension, but the door creaked open, and there he stood, a blend of worry and resolve etched across his face. We need to talk. I can't. He stepped in, closing the door behind him, a barrier against the world swirling outside. You can't keep hiding. I see you in there. The truth flashed like lightning through the storm. Everything I had tried to bury, the fear of inadequacy that gnawed at my insides, and the desperate need to belong. I don't belong here, Alex, I admitted, my voice trembling. But I don't know how to leave. His gaze softened, understanding swirling in the depths. Then let's find a way together. Before I could process his words, the door rattled unexpectedly, jolting both of us. The last remnants of silence shattered as voices erupted from the other side. the sound torn between laughter and anger. And then I heard it, the unmistakable tone of authority slicing through the commotion. Need to find Penny. She's in danger. Lucas. As the echo of his plea reached my ears, fear gripped my heart. What danger? I shot a glance at Alex, the gravity of the moment weighing between us. The truth so tangible moments before suddenly felt treacherous. And yet, it was clearer than ever that the battle was only just beginning. I stood frozen, Alex's eyes locked on mine, but the urgency in Lucas' voice rattled through me like an electric jolt. His words hung heavy in the air, creating wide fractures in the weariness that blanketed my heart. I felt as though I were at a precipice, where one wrong move could send me tumbling into chaos. What do you mean I'm in danger? I whispered, my voice barely audible as the moment spiraled and stretched into infinity. The last thing I wanted was to draw attention to myself, yet I could feel shadows creeping in from all sides. Alex stepped closer, and his protective energy enveloped me. We'll figure this out. Together. But I could see that worry clung to him as well as shared unease that formed a fragile bond in this whirlwind of uncertainty. Why don't we talk outside? I suggested, desperate to escape the entrapment of the bathroom. The world beyond felt so inviting, so free, yet heavy with the weight of looming decisions. I reached for the doorknob, hesitating as I felt the tremor in Alex's hand against my back, a silent encouragement, but before I could turn the handle, a burst of laughter erupted from the other side, a cacophony of voices that ceased suddenly, drawing in a collective breath. The door vibrated against the wall as a heavy knock landed on it. Penny. Lucas' voice again, sharper now, tinged with a hint of panic. Are you in there? We need to talk. I recognized the true concern buried within those words, a stark contrast to the lightheartedness that had filled the gala hall only moments before. The laughter outside was still, smothered now by dread. What had transpired to escalate such a sudden urgency? I can't face him, I panicked, glancing first at Alex, then back at the door. I can't deal with whatever this is when I'm already unraveling inside. Just be honest with him, Alex urged gently, his voice grounding me amidst the storm. You've been trying so hard to keep your truth hidden, but Lucas deserves to know. Should I really burden him with more? With my problems? I questioned, the urge to flee clawing at me harder than before. Penny, Alex said, his eyes searching mine. You're not a burden. You deserve support just as much as anyone else. Closing my eyes, I inhaled deeply, letting the air fill my lungs and carry away traces of my insecurity as if only for a moment. With a heavy heart, I reluctantly opened the door half an inch, peeking out into the sea of faces, where Lucas stood, anxiety rippling through his every feature. You okay? He asked cautiously, lingering close but held back by an invisible line between us. As I met his gaze, I felt a warmth bloom inside me. The concern etched into his brow shattered the barriers I had so painstakingly built. And though I felt exposed, something deep within me yearned to surrender, to strip away the layers of pretense. Oh, I'm not okay, I murmured, the truth slipping out before I could stop it, the words pouring over like a melting dam. This whole evening it was supposed to be a break from my reality. But instead my voice fell silent, aching to share so much yet trapped under fear's grip. Lucas didn't move back. Instead he stepped across the threshold and stood before me, vulnerable but unyielding. Then let's talk. Whatever it is, I swear we'll face it. What do you mean by danger? I found my voice again, the inquiry rippling through the stillness of the moment. Just trust me, Lucas insisted, his sincerity unwavering. It's complicated and I promise to explain everything, but we need to find a safe space to do it away from prying eyes. The quivering years of my life seemed to collapse to that instant. A choice laid before me as vast as the horizon beyond the balcony. The grip I had on my masquerade felt like sand slipping through my fingers, and the choice to share my truth hung precariously above me like a low-hanging cloud heavy with rain. Before I could respond, a sudden outburst erupted from the ballroom, and I turned just in time to see a well-dressed man, who had been lingering at the edge of conversations, storming toward us. His face twisted with fury, he halted mere feet from us, his voice slicing through the air. There you are, Penny. You shouldn't be in here with him. We have to get you out of here. Now that my breath caught in my throat, the weight of the moment crashing down upon us all. Confusion mingled with fear, swirling inside me like a tempest. Who are you? Lucas demanded, the protective energy radiating from him like a shield. He's right, Alex added. What's going on? But before the man could respond, I felt the walls of my carefully constructed world crumbling. I didn't just belong to an uncertain future, I was about to be yanked headfirst into the depths of a reality I wasn't prepared for, with shadows lurking just out of sight. And as the man reached out for me, I realized that the facade I clung to wasn't the only thing threatening to shatter me. Entire life was on the precipice of unraveling. An uncomfortable certainty washed over me. The masquerade was ending, and I had a sinking feeling that it wouldn't be pretty. I stepped back, my heart racing as the storm of emotions roared within me. The man's presence felt like ice melting under the harsh sun, forcing me to reassess every facade I had carefully curated. Lucas and Alex flanked me like guardians, steadfast yet rattled by this intruder who was somehow a thread pulled taut within my tangled life. What do you want? I found myself asking, my voice trembling but defiant as I locked eyes with the stranger. A part of me screamed to flee, to retreat and hide from whatever this dark omen heralded. But another part, the part that craved the truth, however painful, urged me to stand my ground. The invitation was sent to the wrong person. Penny, you can't be here. Not now. His eyes flicked between Lucas and Alex, dismissing them with a flick of disdain before returning to me, raw urgency lacing his tone. You know too much. Too much? I echoed, confusion flooding over me. What do you mean? What is this about? His lips curled into a forced smile that did little to assuage my rising fear. You're entangled in something larger than you realize. A game you never wanted to play, yet here you are. You need to leave with me. No one is taking her anywhere, Lucas declared, stepping forward protectively. The warmth of his presence was comforting but tinged with the dread I could feel swelling up like a tidal wave. But as the man's gaze hardened, a flicker of violence ignited the air between us, crackling with an intensity that sent chills rippling down my spine. You don't understand. This is about your safety. If you're still here when they realize you've found out, you'll be in serious trouble. Trouble? I repeated, my heart pounding a desperate rhythm against the reality unraveling before me. I don't understand what kind of trouble you're talking about. I want to understand. Understanding is a liability, he said curtly, his eyes narrowing. That's why they need you to forget what you know. What you've seen. You're being watched. The room spun, the reality crashing hard against the remnants of my denial. I had stumbled into something I had no intention of finding, and now it loomed over me like a storm cloud, threatening to drench my every joy in darkness. This is insane, Alex interjected, fists clenched, the tension resonating with a resolve that was both admirable and terrifying. Penny, we can leave. We don't need to listen to this. Can we? Can we just walk away? My eyes darted between them, feeling more lost than ever. What are we supposed to do? Just ignore this and pretend it didn't happen. We can figure this out, we always do, Lucas said, his tone urgent yet calming. Right now, the most important thing is your safety. We need to think clearly, the stranger scoffed, clearly dismayed by our reluctance to comply. Thinking clearly won't change the fact that your time is running out, Penny. In a matter of minutes, the clock resets and you'll be trapped in the crossfire. Trapped? I whispered, dread pooling in my stomach. The memories of the gala were blurred now, reduced to echoes of laughter swallowed by uncertainty. The room was rapidly losing its light. The opulent chandelier now felt like a threat, shimmering ominously above our heads. Suddenly, from the periphery of my frantic thought, a realization struck me, a fleeting instinct urging me to remember moments when I had felt a subtle yet consuming grip on my life. A fleeting glance exchanged between people who should have been strangers, whispered conversations held close in shadows. I don't understand what game you're talking about, I pleaded, desperation creeping into my voice. But if I'm being watched, I need to know how to protect myself. You need to tell me everything. Silence draped heavily over us as the man hesitated, his walls cracking momentarily. It's not safe to discuss it here. Come with me now, I can get you out. You'll have a fighting chance. As I looked at Lucas and Alex, their expressions were unreadable. Yet I could feel the tremors of shared fear and concern for me. I closed my eyes and imagined what the next hour could hold, the uncertainty of safety, the stranglehold of secrets, the allure of a trust that felt deceptive yet necessary. Please, Penny, just come with me. The man's voice turned softer, his desperation palpable. I don't want to see you hurt. Time is running out. Faint whispers emerged once more from inside the ballroom, not laughter this time, an indication of rising tension, the kind that made my blood run cold. I opened my eyes, surveying the tight circle of my protectors. The weight of their concern settled deeply in the air around us. "Penny, you don't have to do this," Lucas said firmly, stepping into my line of sight. Yet as I looked at him, uncertainty clouded my capacity to decide. I felt trapped between the chaotic allure of this stranger's promise and the comforting shield of my friends. And then it happened, a sound that ignited sharp terror as a loud crash echoed within the ballroom, shattering the moment and reverberating through my bones. Whispers crescendoed into chaos as I met eyes with the man once more. And for the first time, I saw a flicker of fear in his resolute gaze. "Too late," he murmured as shadows danced through the entrance, and my world tilted dangerously, spinning beyond any control I thought I had. Then, amidst the chaos, everything I thought I knew about loyalty and love teetered on the brink of collapse. My journey had just begun, and as fear washed over me, the shadows I had long avoided rushed toward a reckoning I could no longer ignore. The chaos erupted with the force of an unleashed storm. Guests, once elegantly adorned and carefree, transformed into frantic silhouettes as confusion and panic spread like wildfire through the opulent ballroom. The air thickened with the acrid stench of fear, a scent I never thought I would inhale in a place so vibrant and alive. "Penny, we need to get out of here," Alex urged, grabbing my hand, but I didn't budge. My eyes found the stranger's once more, a flicker of something dark stirring in the depths of his gaze, as if he too sensed the multiplicity of dangers that loomed just outside our fragile haven. "Trust me," he whispered, urgency wrapping around each word like a noose tightening around my throat. "We have no time. They'll come for you first." "Who and why?" I shouted over the growing din as Lucas pulled me closer, creating a barrier between me and the rising chaos. I half expected to see smoke wafting from the corner, the disarray igniting flames of disaster too hot to extinguish. Friends or enemies? The question hung on my lips, unuttered but heavy with threat. The truth was, I had no idea what this man represented. But his honesty about the danger made my skin prickle suddenly. With swift precision, the man reached for my arm, his grip firm. "We can't talk here. Come on." Before I could react, he pulled me through a door at the back of the room that led into a dimly lit hallway, the chaos of the ballroom muffled behind us, though I could still feel the weight of eyes on me, options peeling away like layers of an onion as I was thrust into anonymity. "Penny," Lucas shouted, desperately trying to follow, but the stranger's hold on me tightened as he swung me around a corner. "Stay close," he barked, keeping pace with my racing heart. Fear pierced through my resolve, yet something within me ignited a glimmer of curiosity tinged with courage. Who was this man, and why was I scrambling to trust him? "Let me go," I protested, but my words felt half-hearted as adrenaline surged through my veins. Maybe he was right. Maybe staying here would bring calamity crashing down on us all. "I can protect you," he insisted as we ran down the corridor, an urgency laced in each word that quickened my heartbeat. "There are people who want you gone, and it's not because of your past. Your potential to uncover their secrets was a threat they never anticipated. So, am a pawn in some game I didn't choose?" My voice was nearly swallowed up by the walls around us, but the truth of his words rumbled within me like a tidal wave. "You've got to be kidding me." "I am afraid not." His gaze held mine, a flicker of something vulnerable flaring within the depths. "But there's more to this than you understand. Perhaps if you let me explain." "Explain what?" I hissed, pulling away slightly so I could take him in fully, the edges of his being still unclear. "What do you want from me?" "I want you to know the truth, but if I tell you now, it might be our undoing." The way his gaze dropped to the floor planted seeds of doubt in my mind. I had been running from my own potential, allowing the expectations of others to dull my spirit, but here I stood, teetering on the edge of an unfolding revelation. "Why should I trust you?" I said, voice steady as I summoned the courage to face him, but fear tightened its grip around my heart. "Because you're not just a pawn, Penny. You're much more than that." His tone softened and there was an earnestness, a thread of sincere belief that coiled around his words like a warm embrace. "You have the strength they underestimate. You can lead us to a better ending. A better ending." The words echoed in my mind, nudging at the edges of hope I had nearly extinguished. I had initiated this journey, hadn't I? My heart ached for something beyond the confines of my sheltered Lithia, yearning for purpose, for connection, For a glimpse of love that felt right, not just circumstantial. Just then, shouts erupted from the ballroom, slicing through the air like knives, and a wave of panic washed over me again. My pulse quickened, a frantic reminder that time was slipping through my fingers. Like sand. "We need to keep moving," he urged, and I nodded, adrenaline paving the way for anxiety to recede temporarily. We turned another corner, and my heart sank as reality crept back in. I was caught in a world I hardly understood, fighting forces beyond my control. As we made our way through the winding labyrinth of hallways, a soft glimmer caught my eye, a door to a service exit, half hidden in the shadows. The stranger slowed, his instincts seemingly on high alert. "Penny, listen to me." His voice dropped to a whisper, urgency etched in every syllable. "You have to decide. Stay in the light of your safe confines or step into the darkness of the unknown with me. You might uncover more than you ever imagined, but once you step through that door, there's no going back." The moment hung heavy, ripe with the kind of peril that offered no invitation or retreat. My gaze faltered between the darkness ahead and the fading light behind me. Lucas and Alex were lost in the cacophony of chaos, shadows swirling like wraiths around the laughter and music that no longer belonged to me. In that instant, the weight of choices crystallized, bearing my heart raw beneath the burden. I could feel the churning of apprehension and determination weaving through my spirit. Just then, a distant scream pierced the air, and fear seized my chest, a stark wake-up that shifted everything. "Go. Now," the stranger demanded, urging me toward the door. Yet even as I met the door frame, a flicker of recognition blinked to life within me, a secret I should have seen earlier, an emotion I had chased for too long, bright yet forbidden. I turned, my voice spiking with urgency. "What's your name?" "Isaac." "Isaac," I repeated, something shattering in my heart, a connection quickening the throbbing pulse of fate. "I don't want to just run. I need to know what I'm up against." For the first time, Isaac hesitated, his facade cracking into open vulnerability that both embraced me and sent alarms ringing in my soul. "You may not survive once the truth unfolds. Are you willing to pay that price?" "Only if I can find the light within," I said instinctively, the weight of my own words overwhelming me as I grasped onto hope even as fear loomed ever closer. But just as I crossed the threshold toward whatever lay ahead, an ominous figure loomed in the frame of the service door, shadows playing hide-and-seek, a smirk pulling at the corners of their mouth, a face I recognized but never thought I'd see here. "Looks like the game isn't over yet, is it?" the figure whispered, eyes darkening with a sinister glint that sent chills racing down my spine. The shadows were back, hungrily searching for what had been lost. And in that moment, it became abundantly clear I was caught between a truth I couldn't escape and a future I couldn't predict. The smirk danced across the figure's face, a mockery of what I had just stepped into, a noose of choices tightening around my throat. Recognition flooded through me as the swirling darkness of the hallway seemed to constrict, pressing against my chest like a vice. It was Jessie, the former friend turned rival, whose betrayal had tarnished so many moments in my past. Seeing her here in a place so surreal felt like a cruel joke played by fate itself. "What are you doing here, Jessie?" My voice was barely more than a whisper, thin yet defiant, ready to fight against the encroaching shadows of doubt. She sneered, "just following the breadcrumbs of chaos. Seems like you've stepped in quite the mess, haven't you?" Jessie took a casual step forward, revealing an ally at her side, someone I couldn't quite place, but the menace in their demeanor sent a chill racing through the void of my memories. Isaac stood resolute beside me, the tension vibrating between us like a taut string ready to snap. "Penny, we need to." "Enough," Jessie interrupted, a triumphant edge to her voice. "You think you can run from the truth? This isn't some fairy tale you're lost in, sweetheart. You're in way over your head, and it's about time someone reminded you of that." The stab of her words struck deep, echoing my own insecurities. I had chased the idea of strength for so long, but now doubt clawed at me with relentless ferocity. What was I doing here, trying to summon courage where it felt like there were none? I had thought stepping into the unknown with Isaac would illuminate my path, yet the shadows shifted, laughing at my naivety. A flicker of defiance ignited within me, however. Jessie wasn't the measuring stick of my worth. "You don't understand anything about me," I retorted, holding her gaze, the tremor in my voice betraying the tempest raging inside. "You think you can manipulate me with little barbs and jabs? I've come too far to let you pull me back down." "Charming," Jessie replied, her eyes narrowing. But this isn't just about you anymore. There are forces at play that you can't even begin to fathom. Isaac here. He's not your savior. He's just another pawn in a game even I don't fully comprehend. But don't worry, Penny. I'll make sure whatever potential you think you have stays buried. The weight of her words settled like a leaden blanket, smothering the flickers of hope I had held onto so tightly. As fear clawed its way back into my heart, I turned to Isaac. Is that true? Are you just using me? Is this all part of some bigger scheme I can't see? His eyes flickered with earnestness, but I caught the hint of guilt in their depths. No. This is now Jessie cut him off, a mocking smile brightening her face. Let's not get too carried away with the theatrics. The truth is there are plenty of secrets you're yet to unravel, Penny. And surely you'll discover. But her words faded into a rush of chaos as I focused on Isaac, searching for reassurance. The nagging question echoed louder than ever. Could I trust him? Tell me the truth, Isaac. What am I really up against? The weight of my demand hung in the air, counting on the strength of our surroundings to hold us together. Before he could respond, Jessie lunged forward, her eyes glinting with malice. Don't listen to him. He's just a distraction, someone to keep you busy until the real game begins. Chaos was blossoming all around us as screams grew nearer, reverberating off the hallways and encapsulating us in a cocoon of urgency. I took a step back instinctively, but Isaac reached for my hand, grounding me. Penny, listen, this is about more than just you or me, and definitely more than what Jessie wants you to believe. We can't stay here, or what? You think running will save us? Jessie hissed, her voice dripping with scorn. You can chase shadows, but every step you take just inches you closer to the truth. A truth you're not prepared to face. I caught a glimpse of the fear lurking beneath her bravado. It mingled with my own, swirling, questioning the horizon of what lay ahead. Did I have the courage to confront whatever had brought us to this moment? I've always been prepared, I replied, my voice steadier now, emboldened by Isaac's presence beside me. And when I face it, I'll choose my own path, not the one you lay out for me like a trap. Careful, darling. Self-confidence can be deadly, Jessie retorted, her face twisting with something darker than the fear I knew. Before I could respond, Jessie's ally stepped forward, capturing both of our attentions. Enough of this game. You have to decide where your loyalties lie, Penny. Choose wisely or you'll end up lost forever. With a quick intake of breath, Isaac squared his shoulders, his eyes pleading with mine to retain the trust. Penny, we have to move now. And as I stood at the crossroads, with shadows of uncertainty threatening to engulf me, the harsh reality struck home. Every choice I made would lead me down a path that could extinguish my fledgling hope or ignite a fire I would never be able to contain. As I glanced at the darkened corridor ahead, I realized with growing dread that this journey could cost me more than just the fight for a better ending. It could cost me everything I had ever known or hoped to know. Did I? In that moment, as if sensing my hesitation, the shadows coalesced, closing in around us, and Jessie's smirk morphed into something far more sinister. Run if you must, but remember all roads lead back to where it all began. And some doors should never be opened. With that chilling proclamation hanging in the air, I felt my heart race all over again, caught between illusion and revelation as I prepared to take the most significant step of my life into the unknown. The oppressive weight of Jessie's words clung to me like shadows refusing to dissipate in the early morning light. The air was thick with tension, each breath an effort as we faced what felt like the end of everything I thought I knew. I took a step back, instinctively distancing myself from Jessie's taunts, seeking refuge in the warmth of Isaac's hand clasped tightly around mine. Penny, don't listen to her, Isaac murmured, his voice low, a trembling whisper woven with urgency. Jessie wants to distract you. She wants your uncertainty to betray you. We have to focus on what's next. I could feel the vibrations of fear beneath his calm exterior, hidden in the depths of his gaze. But there was something else, a flicker of determination that brought a small ember of hope to the forefront of my mind. What's next? I echoed, turning my thoughts into sound, desperately grasping for clarity. Is it running from Jessie? Is it trusting you, Isaac? Tell me. He tightened his grip on my hand, searching my eyes for comprehension. Trust me. We can navigate through this, but only if we keep moving. I know it's hard, but if we face this darkness together, maybe we can change the outcome. Uncertainty washed over me again in waves. I thought of Jessie, her vendetta, the secret she spun into a web around us. The suffocating fear of the truth weighed heavily, leaving me suspended in anguish as my mind raced. The need for answers and my longing for safety wrapped around my heart like thorny vines, suffocating, relentless. "Okay, I'll try," I finally managed, the words tasting bitter yet freeing. But just as I turned back towards the corridor, a scream echoed from the shadows, sharp and piercing, reverberating through the air like a knife. My heart raced, pounding against my ribcage, as Isaac's body tensed beside mine. "We have to go," he insisted, his urgency igniting a spark of adrenaline within me. I nodded and we began to move quickly down the hallway, my heart pounding in rhythm with the echoing chaos around us. Each footfall felt heavy, as if the ground beneath us sought to keep us anchored in this nightmare. As we made our way deeper into the darkness, a flicker of light danced ahead. With each cautious step, the source of illumination revealed itself to be a small gathering of people huddled together, their expressions a mix of fear and determination. Something was happening here, and it felt strangely familiar. "Are you all right?" someone asked, a woman with kind eyes and a gentle demeanor. "You look like you've been through hell." "We are trying to get out," I stammered, my voice wavering, as I gestured for Isaac to stay close. "But it seems like there are forces hunting us." "Who are you?" "Survivors," she said, her voice firm yet soothing, the strength in her presence momentarily grounding me. "We've been trying to find a way out, but it's harder than we thought." She exchanged looks with the others, and I could see the strain etched on their faces, each bearing their own stories of anguish. "Can you help us?" Isaac asked, stepping forward, and I felt the weight of his gaze shift between them and me. "We came here to end this, to find answers." "Answers?" A man spoke up, his brows furrowed in thought. "The truth is shrouded in layers, and every layer you peel back reveals more darkness. But if you want to know, we must unite our strength." "Jessie is just one of many," the woman interrupted, her voice urgent. "But she is dangerous. And she's not far behind you." Instinctively, I glanced back into the shadows. Anxiety curled in my gut, a confidant of uncertainty. "What if Jessie gets to them first?" I blurted. The gravity of the situation loomed like a storm cloud ready to descend, and I could feel a sense of impending dread pressing down on us. Just then, the flickering light began to dim, and whispers of hurried footsteps echoed ominously from behind. Panic ignited a wildfire in my veins as I grasped Isaac's hand tighter, the warmth of his presence both grounding and terrifying. "Listen," the woman commanded. "We need to move into the next room before she finds us." "Follow me." Following her command, we stepped into what seemed like an alcove, a refuge adorned with flickering candles illuminating an intricate tapestry of past lives. Even in this despair, remnants of beauty remained. As I searched each face in our small group, I felt a pang in my chest, knowing they had their own stories, each struggling with their own fears. But the intertwining of our fates produced a sense of resilience in me. For the first time, I didn't want to fight this journey alone. "Promise me you'll stay together," I insisted, my voice stronger now as I clung to hope, drawing upon the connection we shared in this fragile moment. "Whatever happens, we face it as a group." Isaac squeezed my hand, a dexterous reminder of the bond we were forging. "Together," he vowed, the strength in his voice bolstering my resolve even further. Just as we prepared to move again, a deafening crash erupted from the entrance of our alcove, and Jessie's laughter slid through the air, cruel and taunting like an echo of my worst fears come to life. "Did you really think you could escape me?" The shadowy figure loomed just beyond the threshold, vibrant with menace. In that moment, the very ground beneath me quaked, teetering on the edge of despair and hope. With a gut-wrenching realization, I understood that the truth was not just my burden to carry. This was now a battle for everyone, and Jessie's sinister game was only just beginning. As her shadow loomed larger, teasing us with gathered threats and darkened promises, the flicker of hope felt all the more precious. The need to uncover the truth now burned like an unquenchable fire within me. "Whatever it takes, Penny," Isaac said, forcing calmness through the tremor in his voice, "we're going to stand and fight." The stakes had never been higher, and as Jessie's sinister smirk danced in the shadows, it became horrifyingly clear. Some battles leave no room for retreat. As we formed a united front, breaths trembling with trepidation, the next move would define our truth, one we might not be ready to confront after all. With the shadows surrounding us, Jessie stood at the threshold, her presence a cloak of menace draped over our small group. Her laughter rang out, echoing harshly against the walls, an intoxicating mix of mockery and delight that wrapped around me like a chilling embrace. "Did you really think you could escape me?" she taunted, stepping forward, her silhouette cutting a sinister figure in the dim candlelight. Panic rippled through our ranks, but I felt a spark deep within me, a determination gathered from the disparate threads of hope that wove us together. We were not just a collection of individuals caught in a web spun by Jesse's deceit. We were survivors bound by a shared mission that transcended our fears. "Stand together," I whispered, meeting Isaac's steady gaze. He seemed to be the anchor I needed, grounding me amidst the chaos that threatened to engulf us. "Whatever comes, we face it as one." "With such resolve," Jessie purred, her eyes alight with lunacy, "but it won't save you. You're all simply players on a stage you don't understand." With every moment that passed, her voice turned more caustic, slicing through the air like a blade, and I could sense that the walls were closing in around us, would draw us back into the depths of her malevolence if we succumbed to fear. But just as fear began to seep through the cracks, another voice emerged from the shadows behind Jessie, the man, her ally, who lingered like a specter. "We don't have time for games, Jessie. We're not the ones who underestimate Penny." His voice held a ring of authority, the sincerity sharp against Jessie's duplicitous edge. "Underestimate her?" Jessie smirked, eyes narrowing. "Oh no, darling. I'm just preparing her for the hard truths that lie ahead." The tension in the air was palpable, each heartbeat ticking louder like a warning bell. "What are you talking about?" I demanded, summoning every ounce of bravery from deep within me. Clarity crashed over me like a cleansing wave. I could not let fate's puppeteer continue pulling the strings without reckoning for the part one would play in this tangled mess. "Truth?" Jessie scoffed, her tone dripping with derision. "What truth do you think you want, Penny? The one that reveals how fragile you truly are." And as she spoke, I felt the chains of doubt that I had tried to shake begin to rattle in my soul, stirring long-buried fears of inadequacy that flickered to life. For so long, I had hidden behind masks of bravado and pretense, and as I caught a glimpse of how easily the shadows slipped in around me, a spark flickered, the realization that I controlled my own destiny was my greatest weapon. "No," I said firmly, "you want to find me, Jessie." The malice in her eyes deepened, but with every moment of defiance, my resolve solidified. "You're right. There are hidden depths beneath the surface. But the game isn't mine alone to play, and if I'm a pawn, it's time to change the game." There was a devastating silence that followed my proclamation. In that stillness, the unyielding grasp of doubt slowly receded, and I felt a swell of newfound courage rise within me. The shadows whispered sweet nothings, but I stood firm in my truth. I would not let their darkness consume me. Isaac tightened his grip around my hand, his presence a steadfast reminder that unity would pave our way through the chaos that seemed to pull us under. "Penny's right," he added, his voice echoing with strength. "We'll face whatever comes next, together." Suddenly, the air crackled with electricity, and Jessie's smirk faltered. "Together?" she hissed, eyes darkening with a fury that was almost palpable. "You think that'll save you? You're walking straight into your demise." But as her words fell, I saw past her. It wasn't fear I felt. It was the embers of hope. They flickered within, igniting one another, illuminating truths buried deep under layers of doubt. "Perhaps, Jessie," I said, drawing in courage to confront the very heart of this maze. "But the embodiment of fear no longer wields the power to dictate my journey." "Then prove it," she shot back, her voice curling like smoke, thin and dangerous. "What will you do, Penny? Let's see if you can survive when the truth is unveiled." And just as ominous echoes of uncertainty crept back in, the shadows deepened. Jessie lunged forward, intent on seizing the question that bore the weight of my reality. A flash of movement erupted. Isaac had moved to shield me, propelling me further back into the alcove, startling the assembled survivors into motion. "Move!" he shouted, pulling me toward the back wall and closer to the flickering light of safety. "Leave her alone," one of the survivors called out, stepping up to divert Jessie, arms raised against the advancing threat. But Jessie's menacing laugh curdled the air, floating ominously around us. "You're all misguided fools. If you think confronting the darkness will bring you light, you'll learn its true cost." As the tension mounted, I felt the shadows shifting around me, unyielding and strong, but beneath it all, I found an unexpected flash of clarity amid the disarray. Secret Jessie held close was another link that bound me to my own unfolding story, a story I could choose to shape or redefine. "Jessie," I called, voice resonating through the chambers dimly lit by our flickering candles. Tell me what you know. Everything. I deserve that much. She froze, caught off guard by my fortitude. The tension hung stilled in the air as she tilted her head, weighing her options. Perhaps my courage frightened her. Perhaps it was something else she had not anticipated. You want the truth? Her smirk faded into something darker, more calculating, a simmering tempest beneath her smooth exterior. Fine. Know this, Penny. The truth isn't always as beautiful as you think. With that, she began to unravel the shadows, slowly revealing the depths of her secrets, and it felt as though the very essence of my being shook beneath the weight of her words. Penny, she said, her voice lowering, you were never just a pawn. You are intertwined with forces you can't even begin to comprehend. The truth isn't just about what you face now. It is also about a future that has yet to unfold, one where you have power over the lives of many. Stunned, I stood rooted to the floor, grappling with the gravity of what she was saying. The implications washed over me, pulling me closer and closer out of the shadows I had known. But where would I land when the truths untangled? Would I be able to wield that power as she suggested? Or was it merely another hoax wrapped in whispered fears? As confusion swirled, determination surged within me. What do I need to do? I asked, confronting the flicker of dread clawing at the edges of my heart. Nothing, not yet, Jessie replied. But her eyes glinted with something Maureen unsettling mix of admiration and disdain. But you will. And when you do, remember this moment, because it'll be your choice that sends ripples throughout the game. And with that, built in that moment between truth and fear, the stage was set for the final confrontation, not just with Jessie and her darkness but with the very essence of who I was meant to become. As every eye turned toward me, contemplating who I would be when the dusk unveiled its truths, I realized the time for hesitance was over. I could step back into the vacillating shadows of my past, or I could cast my own light irrespective of what darkness loomed. Rising to the full weight of my resolve, I squared my shoulders. I was not merely a pawn. I was the architect of my fatia, force to be reckoned with, crafted from echoes of hope and the hardened steel of betrayal. Whatever truths come to pass, I declared, a fierce determination rising within, I'll face them head-on. This ends today. The room fell silent, the words settling into the air like a blanket. I could feel the eyes of the survivors on me waiting for my signal. With Isaac beside me and the stakes higher than ever, I was ready to embrace the dawning light that lay ahead. Facing the darkness together as the shadows receded, I stepped forward, prepared to confront the truth, shackled no more but instead dancing on the precipice of a new beginning. Let's do this, I said, my voice resonant with power, ready to carve my path through the chaos. After all, it was in the truth we find our greatest freedom, and in confronting the darkness, I would finally become the light I sought all along. And as I caught a glimpse of possibility unyielding before me, I understood that I was not just a player in a game but a vessel of uncharted potential, braving the storm of uncertainty even as Jessie's laughter echoed behind us, a haunting reminder that every ending gives way to a new beginning.